Hi, everyone. Welcome. It's the ICBA Daily Morning News for today, Tuesday, September 26, 2023. I'm going to give you the heads up on a possible recession, Albertans who went to Ottawa to talk energy, and an event I attended last night with Vaclav Smil visiting Vancouver. For links to our sources, of course, go to ICBAindependent.ca. We would post them here on Facebook, except we can't because of the Trudeau government's foolish Online News Act. Let's hope that gets resolved at some point. All right, story one, and a hat tip to the folks at Site News for linking to this. Is the recession finally here? Well, Oxford Economics thinks so, noting that households have already begun to cut back on buying new cars, furniture, appliances, and services due to debt service costs, job losses, and lower disposable income. Oxford now projects unemployment will grow from 5.5% today to 7.2% by the middle of next year. Yikes. And that housing starts will tumble from 270,000 units in 2022 to 200,000 in 2024. By the way, going from 270,000 to 200,000, not only is that the wrong direction, but it's going to widen the gap with what we need. We need to be building about 850,000 homes a year in Canada in order to make up the housing shortage that we currently have by 2030. Instead, we're going to go the other direction. Oh, man, this is bad news. Now, there is a glimmer of midterm hope for construction. Oxford does predict that home construction will pick up in late 2024, so later next year, eventually reaching a record high of 310,000 housing starts in 2026, at which point the economy will have recovered. They think mortgage rates will have eased, and they think government measures, including encouraging new housing supply, that's removing the GST from construction of purpose-built rental housing, etc., will help make up for past shortfalls. Again, so it sounds like great news. By late 2024, a record high of 310,000 housing starts in 2026, great, you're still more than 500,000 short of what you actually need in order to close the housing gap, which means the housing gap will just widen every single year going forward. So a little bit of good news there, but not great. As for the economy itself, pain for now, but maybe relief within 2, 3, 4 years. It's a long time to wait. Yesterday, the Federal Standing Committee on Natural Resources, that's a federal committee of MPs in Ottawa, they heard from Alberta experts highlighting Canada's energy transition. Now, Andrew Leach from the U of A, he emphasized that while U.S. states like Texas boom with solar due to summer demands like air conditioning, Alberta's peak energy demand is during its coldest months when sunny hours are at their lowest. So you've got to have a mix of energy sources, is what he said. Meanwhile, Dale Friesen of ATCO suggested that Canada's proposed investor tax credits may fall short when compared to the simplicity of the U.S. Inflation Reduction Act. He had a great line likening Canada's position in the race for clean energy to a runner weighed down by ankle weights. I'll give you a hint. One of those things that makes the investor tax credit scheme unwieldy and expensive and frankly a little bit unworkable was highlighted by ICBA's Chris Gardner and Mike Martins yesterday in an op-ed that you can see at ICBAindependent.ca. They demand that you pay union wages even to non-union workers. That basically cuts out 85% of people who could bid on these projects. And it also damages those folks who make more money than the union prevailing wage. Remember, unions are built on seniority, not on skill. That makes it difficult to keep your best workers in place. Anyways, I run our way down my ankle weights. Yep, that's about right. That seems to be Canada's default position in a lot of these investment issues. And then finally, speaking of Chris Gardner, he and I attended a Resource Works event last night in Vancouver, and we heard Vaclav Smil. He's a best-selling author, scientist, and policy analyst out of Manitoba. And, good crowd, 200 plus people there, some pretty notable British Columbians there, 3 premiers in the audience, Glenn Clark, Gordon Campbell, and Christy Clark. Fortunately, none of them in a position to make many decisions now on behalf of government, but very interesting crowd. Smil spoke and answered questions for nearly 2 hours. Not bad for an 80-year-old. He had great energy, said some really thought-provoking things, laid out the case of how Canada is failing in energy, in greenhouse gas reduction, in all sorts of economic and investment policies, and how poorly Canada is performing on all of these different measures. This is something that you've seen a lot from ICBA publications in recent months as we try to make the case that, look, being 38th out of 38 countries as far as attracting, or 38th out of 38 countries as far as economic growth projections go, isn't good. We have to get better in Canada. We have to, tighten up regulations, get rid of red tape, encourage risk takers, entrepreneurs, and find ways to attract more investment into our economy. Anyways, if you've never read Vaclav Smil, well worth reading. He's got a ton of books. I think he's got 40 books now. The ones in the past 10 years are some pretty outstanding work. Take a look for those at your local bookstore, and you'll thank me for it. All right, that's it for today. We'll be back tomorrow.